This is a message for everyone striving to better understand their customers and working hard to stay in touch with them. For all those people, the following Christmas fairy tale is dedicated. So yes, also for you. And like any good fairy tale, this one also begins with once upon a time. Because yes, once upon a time, in a kingdom not so far away, there was a world where people barely understood one another. Everyone lived their own lives, from market vendors to musicians, from small shops to grand palaces. But the bonds between people, already fragile, grew weaker and weaker. Messages got lost, voices went unheard, and many needs remained invisible. The kingdom was ruled by a king, a wise leader who believed in the power of togetherness. But he faced a problem, a major problem, because he too felt increasingly disconnected from his people. Beside him lay a towering pile of letters. I used to have time to read the people's messages, he sighed, but lately there are just so many. I can't keep up with them anymore. The king knew he had to do something, but what? One cold winter's evening, as candles flickered in the great hall, a mysterious traveller knocked on the palace doors. The man wore a shimmering cloak and carried a suitcase that glowed faintly blue. He introduced himself as Merlin, a master of both ancient and modern magic. He claimed to have a solution for the king. Merlin opened his suitcase and revealed a mirror. But this was no ordinary mirror. The glass seemed to sparkle with countless stars and memories. This, your majesty, is the magical mirror. It collects the wishes, dreams and concerns of your people and shows you what truly matters. But beware, the mirror works only if you are willing to listen and act on what you see. Curious and hopeful, the king had the mirror installed in the great hall. But when he gazed into it, he didn't see his own reflection. Instead, he saw glimpses of the life in the kingdom. He saw a baker longing for more time with his children, a young girl dreaming of a school library, and an elderly woman feeling lonely during the dark days of winter. But the mirror did not just reveal insights. It also posed a challenge. How can I understand all these voices and respond to them? The king asked Merlin. Merlin smiled. Your Majesty, you must build a bridge between yourself and your people. Gather their wishes, needs and stories. In another kingdom I recently visited, they call that data, and use it to understand them. But remember, data without empathy is like a book that is never read. The king summoned the brightest minds in the land. Together, they built a great network that helped deliver the right messages at the right time. No more generic announcements, but personal gestures that touched the hearts of the people. And by carefully studying the images in the mirror, the king came up with unique solutions. A lonely farmer received a talking watering can to tend his crops. A young mother got a timely message reminding her she wasn't alone. And the baker discovered ways to better understand his customers, allowing him to work more efficiently and spend more time with his family. One day, the royal advisor entered in the hall, glanced at the mirror and said, Your Majesty, what we are doing is essentially gathering data. If we think of your subjects as your customers, couldn't we simply call this a customer data platform? The king, still getting used to all these English IT terminology, chuckled but admitted the advisor was right. And it didn't take long before the entire kingdom began to change. People felt seen and heard, and the bonds between the king and his subjects grew stronger than ever. On a cold Christmas Eve, exactly 1 year after the magical mirror had arrived, the king stood before it once again. This time, he saw no images of problems, only smiles, collaboration, and joy. It worked, he said to Merlin, who stood beside him. We've touched the hearts of the people. Merlin nodded. Your Majesty, this is the power of data-driven customer interaction. When you listen, understand and act with empathy, you create a better world, not just for yourself, but for everyone. And so the kingdom learned that connection is the key to a better world, not through broadcasting, but by listening, not through power, but through understanding, and by using technology and data to enable truly human connections. The king and his people lived happily ever after, in a world where everybody felt their voice mattered. And we, the people of Intouch365, really want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and, of course, a data-driven New Year.